What is PHP? PHP stands for Hypertext Preprocessor and is a server-side scripting language designed for web development. PHP scripts can embed within HTML and run on a web server to dynamically generate web content. This PHP snippet outputs the text "Hello World" onto the web page. The .php and .dart tags indicate the start and end of PHP code. The echo statement is used for sending output to the client. The history of PHP. PHP, which stands for PHP, Hypertext Preprocessor, is a popular server-side scripting language that was created for web development, but also used as a general-purpose programming language. Initially created by Rasmus Lerdorf in 1994, PHP has evolved significantly over the years. The code snippet above is a basic PHP script, which prints "Hello World" to the output. This is a classic example used to demonstrate the simplicity of writing PHP scripts for web content. When processed by a PHP interpreter on a web server, it outputs the greeting, which is then sent to the browser. This exemplifies the server-side execution model that PHP was designed for. Strengths and purpose of PHP. PHP, which stands for Hypertext Preprocessor, is a server-side scripting language designed for web development. It is used to create dynamic content that interacts with databases. The code above illustrates a basic PHP script that outputs the text "Hello World" to the browser. It showcases PHP's simplicity for embedding server-side scripts within HTML. The @PHP and .dat tags demarcate the PHP code. The echo is a language construct in PHP used to output strings. This example represents the purpose of PHP, which is to generate dynamic web content quickly and efficiently. Server-side scripting. Server-side scripting is a technique used by web servers to produce a customized response for each user's request. Unlike client-side scripting, where scripts are executed by the user's browser, server-side scripts are executed on the web server. PHP is one of the most commonly used server-side scripting languages and allows for dynamic content generation. The code provided is a basic PHP script. The PHP opening tag .php indicates the start of PHP code, and the closing tag, optional if the file contains only PHP code, ends the PHP block. The echo statement is used to output the text "Hello World" to the web page. When this script runs on a server, it sends the greeting text back to the client's browser. How PHP is embedded in HTML. PHP code can be inserted into HTML documents by using the PHP opening and closing tags. This allows for creating dynamic content as the PHP code is executed on the server before the HTML is sent to the client's browser. The provided code snippet illustrates a basic HTML document with PHP embedded within it. The PHP tags PHP and encapsulate the code that should be executed server-side. In this case, echo outputs "Hello World" to the web page. When this script runs on a server, PHP processes all code within these tags, and the result is seamlessly integrated into the resulting HTML sent to the browser. Setting up a PHP development environment. To begin working with PHP, you need to set up a development environment that includes a server, PHP, and a database, typically MySQL. We'll use XAMPP for this example, as it provides an easy way to install PHP, Apache, Server, and MySQL on your local machine. XAMPP is a software package that allows you to easily install Apache, MySQL, and PHP. After installation, place PHP files like the one above in the htdocs directory. When you access localhost in a browser, the PHP code is executed on the server, and the output, "Hello World," is sent back and displayed in the browser. Writing a first PHP script. Getting started with PHP involves creating a simple script to understand the basics of the language. PHP code is executed on the server, and the result is returned as HTML to the browser. In this example, we will write a basic script to display "Hello World," which is a standard first program for learning a new programming language. The code begins with .php, which tells the server that PHP code follows. Echo is used to output text to the web page. The text "Hello World" is enclosed in single quotes and represents the string that will be displayed on the web page. The script ends with "det," which indicates the end of the PHP code block. When this script is run on a PHP-enabled web server, it will send the text "Hello World" to the browser, which will display it to the user. PHP syntax and basic tags. PHP syntax refers to the rules of writing valid code that the PHP interpreter can parse and execute. The basic PHP tags enclose the code and distinguish it from HTML content. In the provided code, PHP is the opening tag that starts a block of PHP code, and DAC is the closing tag. The echo statement is used to output the text "Hello World" to the web page. When the PHP code is processed by the server, it sends the output without the PHP tags to the client's browser. PHP data types. In PHP, variables can store data of different types, and different data types can do different things. PHP supports the following data types: string, integer, float, floating point numbers, also called double, boolean, array, object, and resource. In the provided code snippet, various PHP variables are declared, each representing a different data type. Strings are enclosed in quotes. Integers are numbers without decimals. Floats are numbers with decimals. Booleans represent true or false. Arrays, which start with array or can hold multiple values. Objects can store both data and information on how to process that data, and the special type null represents a variable with no value. Variables and constants. In PHP, variables are used to store data, like strings, integers, and arrays. A variable starts with the $, followed by the name of the variable. The variable name must begin with a letter or the underscore character and cannot start with a number. The code defines a variable named greeting, which is assigned the string "Hello World." It is then output to the screen using the echo statement. Variables in PHP are dynamically typed, so the same variable can be used to store different data types. String manipulation. In PHP, you can join two or more strings into one by using the concatenation operator, which is the period. The code above creates two string variables, st1 with the value hello, and st2 with world. These are joined using the concatenation operator to form a new string full star, which is then output using echo, resulting in hello world. Operators in PHP. Operators are used to perform operations on variables and values. In PHP, we have several types of operators including arithmetic, assignment, comparison, increment-decrement, logical, string, and array operators. The code demonstrates various operators in PHP. The arithmetic operator plus is used to add two numbers. The assignment operator plus equals is used to increase the value of a variable by a specified amount. The comparison operator equals is used to compare two values for equality, and equals checks if two values are not equal. Increment operators plus plus increase a variable's value by 1. The dot is the concatenation operator in PHP, which is used to combine two strings. Control structures: if, else, switch. The if statement is used to execute a block of code only if a specified condition is true. In the given PHP code, a condition is evaluated within the parentheses of the if statement. If the condition evaluates to true, the code block enclosed within curly braces is executed, and the condition is true is printed to the screen. If the condition is false, the code block will be skipped. Loops: for each, while, do while. The for loop is used to execute a block of code a specific number of times. The loop consists of an initializer, a condition, and an incrementer. The code initializes a counter variable $i to 0, then checks if the I is less than 10, and echoes the value of $i on each iteration. The $i++ incrementally increases the value of I by 1 on each loop until the condition is no longer true. Breaking out of loops. In PHP, loops such as while, for, and foreach are used to execute a block of code repeatedly as long as certain conditions are met. There are occasions where you may need to exit a loop prematurely before the normal condition for exiting the loop is met. This is typically done using break and continue statements. In this example, the for loop is set to repeat 10 times. However, inside the loop, there is an if statement that checks if $gilly is equal to 5. When $i becomes 5, the break statement is executed, which immediately exits the loop, and no further iterations are run. As a result, the numbers 0 to 4 are printed, and the number 5 is never reached due to the break statement. Understanding server responses: GET versus POST. In PHP, there are two main methods to send data to the server: get and post. The get method appends data to the URL and is mainly used for retrieving data. It is limited in length and less secure. The post method sends data through the HTTP message body, which does not have size limits and is more secure, making it suitable for sending sensitive data. The code checks the request method using the server superglobal. If the method is post, it collects the name field from the form data. If the name field is empty, it prints a message. Otherwise, it greets the user. If the method isn't post, it prompts to use the post method. Defining functions. In PHP, functions are blocks of code designed to perform a specific task. A function is defined using the function keyword, followed by a unique function name, a set of parentheses which may include parameters, and a block of code enclosed in curly braces. The code defines a function named sayHello that takes one parameter, name. The function concatenates hello with the passed parameter $name and an exclamation mark, returning the greeting. When calling sayHello Alice, it outputs hello Alice. Function arguments and return values. In PHP, functions can accept input in the form of arguments and can also return output. Arguments are specified inside brackets when defining a function, and the return value is specified with the return keyword. The code defines a function add that takes two arguments and be. Inside the function, these two arguments are added together and the sum is returned using the return keyword. When the function is called with add23, it returns 5, which is then stored in $result and echoed out. Variable scope. In PHP, variable scope refers to the context within which a variable is defined and can be accessed. There are three main types of scope: global, local, and static. The variable $local var is defined within the function test function, making it local. It's not accessible outside the function. Attempting to echo local var outside the function would cause an undefined variable error. In contrast, global var is defined outside of any function, making it a global variable. By using global var inside the function global test, we explicitly indicate that we want to use the global variable within the function's scope. This allows the function to access and modify the global variable. Anonymous functions and closures. Anonymous functions, also known as closures, allow the creation of functions without a specified name. They are useful for creating quick, inline functions and can capture variables from the surrounding scope. In the provided PHP code, we create an anonymous function and assign it to the variable greet. This function takes one argument, name, and returns a greeting string. When we call greet with the string world as an argument, it outputs hello world. The function is anonymous because it does not have a name assigned to it, like regular functions defined with the function keyword. Predefined PHP functions. Predefined PHP functions are built-in functions in PHP that you can call without the need to define them. They cover a wide range of functionality, from array manipulation to string handling, mathematics, and beyond. In the code, we use two predefined PHP functions: strlen to calculate the length of the string stored in the variable string, and strev to reverse the string. The first echoed output is 13, indicating the length of hello world. The second echoed string is foreach, which is the reverse of hello world. Error handling with try, catch, and finally. In PHP, the try, catch, and finally blocks are used to handle exceptions, which are error conditions that change the normal flow of execution. The try block holds the code that might throw an exception. If an exception is thrown, the catch block is executed. The finally block is optional and contains code that should run regardless of whether an exception was thrown or caught. In the provided PHP code, an exception is thrown within the try block with a message "an error occurred." The catch block catches exceptions of the type exception and executes code that outputs the exception message. The finally block follows, ensuring that finally block executed is echoed whether or not an exception occurred. If no exception were thrown, the catch block would be skipped, but the finally block would still execute. triggering errors and error logging. In PHP, the trigger error function is used to generate a user-level error message. This can be helpful for debugging and custom error handling. The code uses trigger error to generate a user-level warning. It takes two arguments, the error message and the error level. E-user warning is one of PHP's predefined error constants, indicating a non-fatal error that doesn't stop script execution. Other levels are e-user error for fatal errors which halt execution, and e-user notice for informational messages. Exception handling. In PHP, exception handling is used to manage errors in a more graceful way. Exceptions are thrown when an error occurs and can be caught using a try-catch block. The try block contains code that may throw an exception, while the catch block handles the exception if one is thrown. The provided code begins with a try block that simulates an error by throwing an exception with the message, "An error occurred." The catch block is then used to catch that exception and display the error message using the getMessage method. Lastly, the finally block is executed regardless of whether an exception was caught or not, and it indicates the end of the error handling by outputting finally block executed.